The average sale price in Portland Metro hit a 9-month high at the same time that mortgage rates continued to rise. It's time to take a look at the very latest in our local real estate stats and trends. Hi everyone, RRMilligan here, bringing you the very latest in our local real estate stats and trends for the full Portland metro area, including Southwest Washington. Of course, all real estate is local, so if you have any questions about what's going on in a specific area, just drop me a line or post your question in the comment section right here. Sale prices continue to jump around in Portland. This week, the average sale price hit a 9-month high of just over $676,000. To find a number this high, you have to go back to the third week in June of 2025. In fact, when I went back through my notes for the past couple of years, in our sample, this might very well be the second highest average sale price that we've ever had in Portland metro area. As I've said in the past though, our weekly numbers can jump around and we can see a lot of volatility due to the relatively small sample size in our weekly numbers, that is. But this is coming off of a couple months of prices lagging behind last year's by about 1% plus or minus. Before I get too excited and call this a new trend though, I'd like to see a couple more weeks of numbers in this range. We're still early days for March, but so far for the month of March, the average sale price is tracking about 6.2% higher than the same time period in 2025. Do keep in mind that the prices that we're seeing right now are for deals that went under contract somewhere around the beginning of February, and we won't see the results of the deals that are being agreed to right now, likely for another 3 to 6 weeks. Now on to supply and demand. The supply of homes that buyers have to choose from is on the rise. That is normal for this time of year. But the number of homes coming to the market each week continues to outpace what we're seeing in 2025. This past week, we saw 725 homes come to the market compared to only 656 the previous year. Now on to the other side of the supply and demand equation. Buyer demand is still looking pretty good. The number of new contracts agreed to by buyers and sellers has outpaced last year's demand for 7 weeks straight now. This past week, we had 660 new contracts compared to 626 last year. That is a smaller margin than we've been seeing recently, so I'm really curious to see about what the next week or two brings us as far as the number of new contracts. It could be that higher mortgage rates and some of the uncertainty that we're seeing in the financial markets is curbing buyer enthusiasm, but we may not know that for a couple more weeks. For now though, buyer demand seems to be holding. So let's talk about mortgage rates. Mortgage rates are still rising. At the end of last week, the best rate I could find for the 30-year fix was holding at about 5.875%. On Thursday morning, that very same lender was advertising 6% with a half of a discount point. Based on what we've been seeing in the financial markets today is Thursday, I suspect that we'll be seeing even higher rates as we head into the weekend. I'll add an update in the comments section here when I post this video on Friday, so be sure to check that out. The Federal Reserve Board does meet this next week, but based on inflationary pressures due to the war in Iran and on weakening employment numbers, the market's expectation is that we'll see no changes to the Fed funds rate next week. So to summarize the big trends that we are watching this week, sale prices are up and they were significantly higher than last year's sale prices, but we're not sure if that's a new trend yet. Supply was up, not a surprise there. Buyer demand continues to rise and outpace last year's demand, and mortgage rates are still on the rise. Thank you so much for joining me for this week's rundown of our local real estate stats and trends. I hope that you found this week's report informative. As always, I would love a like or a follow if you haven't already. I hope that you have a great weekend, and I will see you right here next week.